Hello, students. I am so happy to meet you. If you are new to clay, here are some helpful tips that you might want to know before getting started. As you can see, when you first take polymer clay out of the package, it is very hard and crumbly. That's because polymer clay is made of PVC plastic and it basically needs to be conditioned in order to be worked. So I kind of imagine that all of the particles inside of the clay are asleep and I need to wake them up. So all conditioning is it's really just rubbing the clay between your hands so that the clay gets nice and soft. I'm going to speed this up so that you can kind of see the process. I like to pretend like I'm warming my hands by the fire. The way I know that my clay is fully conditioned is if I can pass the bend test, which is where I roll the clay into a worm and I bend forward, bend back, look, no cracks. All right, that is the bend test. So I'm just going to keep rubbing the clay in my hands. I'll make a worm and smush it and make a worm and smush it until I feel like my clay is starting to soften up and it definitely shouldn't be crumbling or anything like that. Some clay requires less. Oh, there's the bend test. Bend forward, bend back, look, no cracks. Oh no, there's a little crack in there. That would mean that I'd need to keep going. All right. And that's conditioning. Sometimes conditioning can take up to 5 minutes. So you may want to condition your colors before class. It's up to you. I do provide class time for conditioning. All right, I'm going to teach you three important shapes that we always make in pretty much every single one of my classes. The first shape is a ball. If you have any experience with clay or Play-Doh or any kind of modeling dough, you probably have made a ball a million times, but I'm going to just show you anyway. I'm going to put the clay in my hands and pretend like I'm washing a window. I'm going to do like a circular motion. I'm going to push nice and hard because if I only do this circular motion gently, I will end up with a ball that has all kinds of cracks. And see that? It's a ball, but there's cracks everywhere. That's because I was too gentle. I need to use my muscles here and push hard so that I can get a nice smooth ball. And that's all there is to it. Easy peasy. Okay, if it's not quite the right shape, just use your fingers to kind of push and prod. There we go. The next step is a worm. So you start with a ball and you're going to take your hand and push back and forth with your hand completely flat. Okay, and you're going to push back and forth on your table until your worm gets skinnier and skinnier. The more you push, the skinnier the worm's going to get. You can see I'm working on a tile here. I went and bought a $3 bathroom tile from Home Depot, and it was one of the best purchases I ever made as a clay artist. So if you're planning on doing a lot of claying and you want an easier time cleaning up, then the tile is a great way to do this. One of the things you can see I'm doing here is I have lumps and bumps in my worm. If I have that, I just need to put my finger on the lump or the bump because wherever your hand is touching, that's what's going to get skinnier. So there's a lump, I'm pushing it, and it's getting smoother. That's how you get that smoother looking worm with fewer lumps and bumps. Ta-da! The last step is very important. We make this all the time. It's a carrot. Start with a ball, tilt your hand, and push. See how my hand's tilted? And I'm getting a little carrot. The more I tilt and the more I push, the more my carrot is going to get sharp and skinny on one end and it'll stay fat on the other. This is a very common shape that we make in class. So you definitely want to master the art of the carrot. Especially if you take my Eevee class. If you like Pokemon and you take Eevee, you definitely want to master the carrot. And look at that. If you press the tip, it becomes a body shape. This next process is called the foil tent. I'm just going to take a piece of foil. I'm going to gently wad it up, not too tight, just a little bit. And then I'm going to unwad it. And the reason I do that is because foil is a lot more moldable if it has some wrinkles in it. If it's just fresh and flat and beautiful right out of the roll, it doesn't quite hold its shape as well. I'm having to be so gentle here, and I'm still probably going to tear the foil, but that's okay. All right, I'm just kind of unscrunching it, and now I can shape it into the shape of a tent. The reason we create a foil tent for our characters is because a lot of ovens will spike hot temperatures, and if that happens, your clay can scorch. If it gets above 275 Fahrenheit, it is possible for the clay to scorch and get some like brown and black spots. So you just want to make sure that you kind of got your little guy protected inside of his tent. I've folded this piece in half and I'm just rolling up each edge to give me like a nice base for my tent to sit on. I'm going to do the other side. Flip and roll. See that? And that's all there is to that. I recommend doing this for your food too, to be honest, unless you want a really, really crispy top, which I like that, especially on a good casserole. All right, there it is. Foil tent. Woohoo! Ta-da! Okay, last but not least, look at this. You've got some fingerprints, some imperfections on the left side, and I'm going to show you how to get rid of those little imperfections so that you have a nice, super smooth, finished product that looks nice and professional. So you're going to use rubbing alcohol from your medicine cabinet. If you're a little person, if you're one of my littles, I want you to make sure that you get your parents' permission if you do this step. And honestly, most of my younger students never do this. This is probably best for an older student. I've got some little finger cots. They are like little gloves for your fingers, but you don't have to use those. And what I'm doing is I'm dipping a paintbrush that's kind of got a flat tip into some alcohol, and I'm just painting away any of the imperfections, any of the little lumps and bumps, any place my fingernail might have nicked. Okay. You don't want a ton of alcohol on the brush, just a little bit, because it shouldn't be dripping wet. And the other thing that you need to know is that once you do this, you need to wait for your piece to dry. Basically, the alcohol needs to evaporate off because the alcohol will burn your clay. If there's any alcohol residue on your clay when you put it in the oven, it will burn. So you want to be nice and careful. All right, that is Intro to Clay. I'll see you in class.